Welcome to Deep Thought. You attract what you feel. So this is continuing my series of addressing some of the things of the presentation given by the young brother Evoking. And you attract what you feel. Now, he talked about your emotional state. He said whatever emotional state you in, you will attract people and situations that reflect that emotional state. And that was a powerful thing to think about. Okay, like think if you're you're depressed. You're depressed, and that's a common thing. And you know what depression is. You thinking about something that happened in the past. Haven't you noticed you tend to attract similar people? You tend to attract people who are going through the same thing. Indeed, if you look at, let me use an example everybody can think about. Think about different videos on YouTube, and it could be whatever subject. People tend to attract people who share that emotional state. Now, that could be a great thing if you in a very calm state, or you're in a very happy state, or, everything's great, you feeling good. You will tend to attract people like that. You will tend to attract people. And I'm going to tell you why, the deepness of that. And it's just a thing of vibration, energy. People attract whoever they are. People will attract it, and then they will actually they will repel people who don't share that emotional state. Like vibrations, like a lot of women would talk about, they don't deal with a man if he got a bad vibration. He's weird to them or he's creepy to them. That's a vibration. That is a vibration. And the whole thing with that is what you're feeling. See, remember I talked yesterday about a choice. But how you feel is still a choice, believe it or not. Yeah, you feel depressed or anything, but you can choose not to be not it. It's really a choice. It's not something forced on you. People like to think it's forced, and the medical establishment think it's natural. It's like, no, you choosing to go with it. Like I've said before, if you feel in a certain way, if you have a bad thought, I've talked about this in a podcast before, if you have a bad thought, replace it with something negative. Whenever a bad thought pops in my head or I feel bad about something, and I do, like I said, I'm not the guru. As I always say, I'm climbing up that mountain with y'all. What I do is replace it with something else. I work on my emotion. I fight it. I literally fight negative emotions. And that's why I attract a certain energy to me. But when I'm in a different state, when I'm in that negative state, I've noticed I attract the same thing. And I've seen that. And see, that's the thing. People got like their emotional state. Whatever your emotional state is powerful. Whatever your emotional state is powerful. Because like I said, ultimately you're making a choice about it. Even love, you're making a choice of love. Because you can lust someone, but you choosing whether to love them. You can even choose whether or not you lust them. Let me use that for an example. Because that touches the emotions too. Everything in me, I made a choice that everything was shut down. If I meet a woman, I might lust her at first, but it shuts down if she says something that goes against my belief systems, or she wouldn't fit into my world. She wouldn't be an asset. Everything shuts down to the point it even shuts down naturally. To that point. So it's very important. And see, it all comes down to your emotional state. What a lot of people really, really need to do is look at what they're feeling. They have to pay attention to what they're feeling. And when they have bad things happen to them, or they attract negative people, they, instead of saying that person's negative or something, they need to say what it is within themselves that attracts it. I remember my own son. Something happened. He said, well, I always had bad luck. I corrected him right away. And I broke it down to him, every single thing he's blessed by. Every single thing. And that was years ago. I haven't heard him say the same thing in a while. I haven't heard him say the same thing in a while because, I said, look, you can't think negatively. When you have that negative emotion, it could be anything. It could be jealousy. You're going to attract people with that type of emotion. That's why a lot of times when people let me use the relationship thing, because that's the best example. That's when you really see some stuff. You get women talking about, well, yeah, you attract all these dusty men and everything. Well, what's your emotional state? Are you in an emotional state that's going to attract a better man? In fact, I would tell a lot of women, if you keep attracting these negative type of men, well, you got to look at what it is within you. What's your emotional state? And whenever I would talk to them and listen, I could see it becomes obvious right away. This is what you're thinking about a man. That's what you're going to attract. Same thing with men. If you have that negative state, that's what you're going to attract. Whatever you're feeling. Everybody, I'm going to tell you what, at the very least, at the minimum, people need to work towards calming their emotions. That's the minimum. That's the baseline it should be. To a place of peace. To a place of peace. And it's tough. Look, it's tough for me. It's tough for me. See, people don't realize something. Let me share something about me. I got more of a temper than people realize. Everybody always talk about how calm I am and everything. People don't realize I've had to work to that day. I mean, seriously, I had to work towards that. And, some people will try to say, oh, yeah, you had those problems. Well, you're not perfect either. Let me be clear on that. But I had to work on it. And I've seen when I have that certain vibe, that certain energy, when I give it off, like, okay, here's a great example. And I've noticed this because, like I said, I always say I'm climbing too. So I'm going to share from my own experience. I notice when I'm kind of in a down mood or something, when I'm in a down mood, I've noticed that the people around me would reflect that mood because it would affect them. They would reflect it. And then I would draw people who got that same mood. But then when I'm in a great mood and everything, I've seen that would affect people too. And then I would draw people like that. That's very key. Your emotional state is a very key thing to always look at. Yeah, this channel is about thinking, like primarily thinking, but your emotion is there. Now, of course, men and women have different levels of emotion, but emotion is there for everybody. Of course, it's obvious with the women, their emotional state, but on a deep level, men have that emotional state as well, just not to the same extent. And it still affects how we do things. So you have to understand, you have to get to a place, you got to calm your emotions. Calm your emotions, then get to a place of happiness, of positivity. Otherwise, if you're having these negative things that are drawing these negative people, it's not them. It's something within you. And that's for all us all. And once you realize that, you actually have control over yourself. That's the only thing you have 100% control over on this planet, yourself. You got control. So I want y'all to really think on that, okay? And I'll get back with y'all later. Peace and blessings.